Hello viewer, the Nameless Scholar here. As I have promised in the video where I criticize the modern Imperium, I will be talking about the importance of canon in Warhammer 40k and other settings as well. This will be a quick video so you guys can wait on my actual video. I will only go into depth with the art philosophy as much as it is necessary and not bore anyone with it. I want this to be a quick video because the most prevalent style of art is postmodernism, which believes that there is no objective reality or beauty. Which is why people take the reflection cracked as gospel or argue that Disney decides what is canon in Star Wars and what is not, or think the debacle which happened this April to be totally okay. Because postmodernism believes that there is no objective truth, it is ultimately driven to deconstruct for the sake of it. Now, deconstruction for the sake of parody is fine, but deconstruction done for the sake of it is driven by one thing: envy of the successes of the past. Now, the postmodernists will point to the death of the author, an essay which claims that the author's intent does not matter, but only when it suits them. Which is why when Tim Kaine and Chris Avellone came out and said that Fallout was always about the human condition and how war is an integral part of it and not capitalism bad. The postmodernists were not happy. To the point, anyone who pointed this out on the Fallout subreddit were banned from the sub. But when it suits them, they will take the new canon as gospel. Remember in late 2021, because of some troll in Spain, GW released an article titled, "The Imperium is driven by hate. Warhammer is not." How GW showed how out of touch they have become with their very setting they spent decades establishing by claiming that 40k was satire, even though it was later confirmed that it was not. That they created 40k as escapism from Margaret Thatcher, and that Mag Uruk Thraka was essentially big orc leader in butchered orcish. When that happened, I remember vividly them using this as proof that they were right. Most people have forgotten it, but I do not forget, neither do I forgive. Because after they released this article demonizing the Imperium, they continued on their merry way to hero wash the faction they have spent decades establishing as the cruelest, most bloody regime imaginable. Why am I talking about this? Because I'm trying to tell you that even if the original message of a piece of media is co-opted because of how badly the message is relayed, or if the new things contradict already established, well-written lore, then one has a right to ignore it. Intuition alone should allow you to deduce that you can ignore Warhammer the End Times because it is obviously not well written and a blatant attempt from GW to wipe the slate clean, or the reflection cracked, for it assassinates Fulgrim's character, or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is an insult to both Batman and Kevin Conroy, or Baldur's Gate 3, who assassinates Viconia Devia's character, or the final nail in the coffin of Dragon Age, that is, the Veilguard. The reason why Warhammer 40k and many other settings and pieces of media worked was because the stories told in them were consistent with the already established rules of that universe. Some of them were not particularly great, but most of them were still loyal to the setting. When they were not, back in the day, feedback was universally negative. This is the reason why, as much as people have criticized Matt Ward to no end due to the chicanery he pulled off with the Ultramarines and the Grey Knights, CS-GOTO is ultimately considered universally to be the worst 40k author in the history of Black Library, due to his hatred of the Eldar, ruining their lore to where they are nothing more than incompetent buffoons, and having other ridiculous stuff like our Land Raider transforming into a Razorback and then back to a Land Raider. When you ask people who take canon as gospel, if a Land Raider can transform into a Razorback and then back to a Land Raider, most would say no, even if they took canon as gospel or claim that it has been retconned, even though it's not. It's canon. Then there is, on the other hand, where one believes that anything is possible. They oftentimes like to use this quote by Aaron Dembski Bowden, that canon doesn't matter, that the lore and the rules can bend to forces outside the universe with no major consequences whatsoever, because everything is real and nothing is real. Even though Games Workshop, ever since 8th edition, have actively gone out of their way to hero wash the Imperium, as the Imperium is almost always on the defensive or counter-attacking. This simply doesn't work. The reason why is that they would also have to accept that a Land Raider can transform into a Razorback and back to a Land Raider, even though all logic should say that it cannot, it just doesn't compute. But there are people who say, yes, it can, and it doesn't matter. I will return to those types of people later. Unlike what postmodernists say, there is objective beauty in this world. Take a photograph of the Niagara Falls and show it to Chinese peasants. Even they would find that to be absolutely beautiful. This is only one example. Anybody who claims otherwise is not to be argued with or to be changed, because they are not there to intellectually discuss with you. They are there for one thing and one thing only: to subjugate you under their boot, and if they cannot get rid of you, they are under the impression that they are the good guys, and opposing them enough is an offense in of itself. Never forget, when I am weaker than you, I ask you for freedom because that is according to your principles. When I am stronger than you, I take away your freedom because that is according to my principles. The point I'm trying to get with my incoherent ramblings is that when you violate the established rules of a universe and claim that anything is possible, you say that rules of a universe doesn't matter. And if the rules of a universe doesn't matter, then consistency doesn't matter. If consistency does not matter, then nothing matters. If nothing matters, there's no story. If there's no story, there's no point. If there's no story or point, there's no point purchasing Games Workshop products. And if anything is possible, it could simply be as easy as pie to say put the Night Lords in any other universe aside from 40k and claim that they would still work, even though they don't. So, no. Anybody who just uses doublethink and weaponizes their hypocrisy, they are not to be argued with. Canon is important, and it is what makes a universe and what makes a good story. Anyways, guys, this is going to be it for this short video. I am the Nameless Scholar, and Iron within, Iron without.